The rain hammered against the window like it was trying to break in, mirroring the storm raging inside me as I stared at the door. My phone buzzed again, another text from Jake. The guy I'd ghosted last week after a night that meant nothing to me, but everything to him. I deleted it without reading. My heart a hollow drum. Until the door flew open and there he was, my new roommate. Alex. Soaked to the bone. Clutching a soaked envelope that looked like it had been dragged through hell. His eyes. Those damn intense brown eyes. Locked onto mine with a fire I'd never seen before. And in that split second, I knew my carefully curated life of effortless hookups was about to shatter. Sean, he said, his voice low and edged with something dangerous. Water dripping from his dark curls onto the worn hardwood floor of our cramped Brooklyn apartment. We need to talk. Now. He slammed the door behind him, the envelope hitting the coffee table like a grenade. And I swear, the air thickened with the weight of secrets I'd buried deeper than my own regrets. I laughed it off at first. That cocky chuckle I'd perfected over years of dodging commitments in the pulsing nightlife of New York City's gay scene. At 22, fresh out of my sophomore year at NYU, I was the king of casual swiping right on Grindr like it was a game, leaving a trail of broken hearts and one-night stands from the Village to Williamsburg. Guys fell for my easy smile, the way I'd whisper promises in the dark that evaporated by morning. It wasn't cruelty. It was survival. Growing up in a conservative suburb outside Philly, where my own coming out at 16 had turned family dinners into minefields, I'd learned to armor up. Love. That was for suckers who got burned. But Alex got. Alexei wasn't like the others. He was the quiet transfer student from California, all brooding sketches in his notebook and late-night shifts at the campus cafe, with a moral compass that pointed true north while mine spun wild. We'd shared this shoebox of an apartment for 3 months, trading awkward nods over shared cereal and pretending the electric hum between us was just static from the old radiator. He peeled off his drenched jacket, revealing a plain white tee clinging to his lean. Swimmer's build 23. Bisexual. Out and proud in a way that made my hidden chaos feel like a lie. This, he said, tapping the envelope, came in the mail today. Addressed to both of us. From Tyler. My stomach dropped. Tyler, a wide-eyed freshman I'd charmed at a frat party last semester. The one who'd texted me poems until I blocked him. Inside was a stack of screenshots, my Grindr chats. Timestamps matching nights I'd lied about studying. And worst of all, a blurry photo of me slipping out of Tyler's dorm at dawn. His face blurred, but the hurt in his posture screaming louder than words. What the hell? Man. I shot back, heat rising in my cheeks as I snatched the papers, my voice cracking despite myself. You think this is your business? We're roommates, not priests and confessors. But Alex didn't flinch. He crossed his arms, his gaze stripping me bare. And for the first time, I felt seen, not the polished player, but the scared kid underneath. The one who'd built walls so high even he couldn't climb them. It's my business when it shows up here, Sean. When it poisons this place we call home. His words hung heavy, laced with a disappointment that stung worse than any slap. He stepped closer, the scent of rain and his faint cologne something earthy, like pine after a storm invading my space. Tyler's crashing hard. He cornered me at the cafe today, begging me to talk to you. Said you promised him the world and vanished like smoke. And you're not the only one. I've heard the whispers, Mark, from lit class. That barista downtown. You're a ghost. Sean. You haunt them and leave them bleeding. I wanted to bolt, to grab my keys and hit the clubs where the bass drowned out truth. But his eyes held me, soft at the edges despite the steel. And something cracked inside. You don't get it, I whispered, sinking onto the sagging couch, the envelope crumpling in my fist. It's not about them. It's me. If I let anyone in, They see the mess, the panic attacks after family calls, the fear that I'll never be enough. So I keep it light. Fun. Gone by sunrise. Alex sat beside me, close enough that our knees brushed. Sending a jolt I tried to ignore. That's bullshit. And you know it. You're not a monster. You're just scared. But hiding. It doesn't protect you, it destroys everyone around you, including you. He reached out, his hand hovering over mine before pulling back, like he was afraid of the spark. That night, we talked until the rain softened to a drizzle, his voice weaving through my defenses like threads of light. He didn't judge. He listened, sharing his own Scarsa high school ex who outed him to save face. The way he'd rebuilt in therapy sessions under the California sun. By dawn, the envelope lay forgotten. But the seed was planted, a quiet confrontation that felt less like exposure and more like invitation. The next week blurred into a tense rhythm. I'd catch Alex watching me over breakfast, his fork pausing midair as I scrolled through my phone, deleting old messages like digital sins. Our apartment, a third-floor walk-up in Bushwick with peeling wallpaper and a view of graffiti-splashed bricks, became a battlefield of unspoken words. I'd come home late from hangouts, the taste of cheap whiskey on my lips, only to find him sketching by the window portraits of strangers with eyes full of longing that mirrored my own buried ache. One evening, after a disastrous attempt at normalcy, a double date, I dragged him on with some Tinder match named Chris, who spent the night droning about crypto. I stumbled in alone, buzzed and bitter. Chris had bailed early, citing a work thing. But really, it was the way Alex's presence overshadowed everything. His quiet laugh cutting through the noise like a lifeline I didn't deserve. Rough night. Alex asked from the kitchenette, stirring pasta sauce with a wooden spoon. His back to me. I leaned against the doorframe, the room spinning just enough to loosen my tongue. What's your deal? Alex, why do you care so much? You could expose me to the whole damn campus. Write an op-ed for the school paper. Sean the Heartbreaker, a cautionary tale. Why play therapist instead? He turned, sauce simmering on the stove like our simmering tension, and met my gaze with that unflinching honesty. Because I see you. Sean. The real you, the guy who leaves voicemails for his little sister at 2 a.m. Who blasts Springsteen when he's sad. The player act. It's a shield. But shields get heavy. He plated the food. 2 steaming bowls of spaghetti that smelled like home in a way I'd forgotten existed. And slid one across the counter. Eat. Then maybe, just maybe, stop running. We ate in silence at first, forks clinking against ceramic. The city hum outside a distant roar. Then it spilled out stories I'd never told. The prom night fumble with my best friend that ended in tears and silence. The grinder addiction born from loneliness in freshman orientation. Alex listened, his foot accidentally or not brushing mine under the table. A touch that lingered like a question. I get it, he said finally, his voice soft as the steam rising between us. I was a player once too. After my ex. Slept around to prove I was over it. But it just proved I was broken. Until I met someone who called me on it not with anger, but with truth. Made me want to be better. His words hung there, vulnerable and raw. And I felt Athena pull, magnetic and terrifying, toward this man who saw through my smoke and mirrors. That night, as we cleaned up side by side, our hands brushing over sudsy dishes, I didn't pull away. Instead, I let the warmth seep in, a crack in the armor widening into possibility. But truth has a way of unraveling fast, especially when the past comes knocking. It was a Friday, the kind of crisp autumn night where the leaves crunched underfoot like brittle promises. And I'd foolishly agreed to meet up with an old flame, Ryan, the tattooed bartender from the Stonewall who'd always forgiven my flings because the sex was fire. Alex knew. I'd let it slip in a moment of defiance. Testing him. Daring him to walk away. Go ahead, he'd said, his jaw tight. But don't say I didn't warn you. Ryan's place was a loft in the East Village. All exposed brick and fairy lights strung like spiderwebs. The air thick with weed and regret. We tumbled into bed. Bodies familiar, but souls distant. His hands on me feeling like echoes. Midway through, my phone lit up on the nightstand, Alex's name flashing. A text, Tyler's here. At our place. He's drunk and talking suicide. Get home. Now. Panic clawed up my throat. Sharper than any hangover. I shoved Ryan off, mumbling excuses, and bolted into the night. Hail mixing with tears I didn't realize were falling. The subway ride was agony. Each rattle amplifying the guilt gnawing at me. What had I done? Tyler sweet. Fragile Tyler pushed to the edge because of my selfishness. And Alex, holding the pieces, because he cared enough to stay. By the time I burst through our door, the scene hit me like a freight train. Tyler slumped on the couch, eyes red-rimmed, a half-empty bottle of Jack on the floor. Alex knelt beside him, one arm around his shoulders, murmuring low reassurances. His face pale but steady. Sean, Tyler slurred, spotting me, his voice breaking like glass. You said forever. Why'd you leave? He lunged, not with fists, but with desperation, collapsing against my chest in sobs that soaked my shirt. I held him, rocking like a child. Apologies tumbling out in a rush. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry, while Alex watched from the sidelines, his expression a storm of pain and resolve. We got Tyler to bed in the spare room, Alex handling the call to his RA with calm efficiency, me pacing like a caged animal. When it was just us, the air crackled. This ends tonight, Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. But it thundered in my ears. No more games. Sean, you're killing yourself in them. If you can't stop, get out. I can't watch this anymore. His words sliced deep. But beneath the anger was hurt, raw and real. And I saw it then. He wasn't just protecting Tyler or the apartment's fragile peace. He was protecting me from me. I don't know how, I admitted, voice cracking as I slid down the wall, knees to chest. Every time I try, it feels like suffocating. Alex crouched in front of me, his hands gripping my shoulders, thumbs brushing my collarbones in a touch that was anchor and spark. You start by being honest. With them. With yourself. And maybe with me. His eyes searched mine, inches away, breath mingling in the charged space. Time stretched, the world narrowing to that point of contact. And before I could think, I closed the gap, lips crashing into his in a kiss born of desperation and dawn. It was messy, urgent, tasting of salt and salvation. His hands fisting in my hair as if afraid I'd vanish. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the revelation hanging between us like a lifeline. Alex, I breathed, the name a prayer. I don't want to run anymore. Not from you. He smiled then, small and shattered, pulling me up into an embrace that felt like coming home. Then don't. Stay. Fight for it with me. The days that followed were a whirlwind of reckoning. I deleted the apps. Cold turkey. My fingers trembling over the screen as if severing a limb. Apologies became my new ritual, handwritten letters to Tyler, Mark, Jake, each one a confession laid bare. No excuses. Just the truth of my fears. Tyler forgave me over coffee at a quiet diner in Midtown, his eyes wary but kind, saying, hurt like hell, man, but seeing you try, that's something. The others were harder. Ryan's silence cut deep. A bar fight nearly erupting when I showed up at the stone wall to explain, but each step chipped away at the player facade, revealing the man beneath. Bruised, but breathing. Alex was there through it all. His presence a steady flame. We'd walk the high line at dusk, hands brushing until one day they intertwined. Fingers lacing like puzzle pieces long separated. Conversations deepened his dreams of illustrating graphic novels about queer heroes. My buried passion for songwriting. Lyrics scribbled in margins of textbooks. One night, under the fairy lights we'd strung in the living room, a half-joking attempt at domestic bliss, he sketched me, not the smirking charmer, but the vulnerable Sean. Eyes alight with hope, chin tilted in quiet defiance. "You're beautiful like this," he murmured, pencil pausing as he traced my jaw. "Real. Mine to see." Heat bloomed in my chest, chasing away the shadows. "Yours," I echoed, pulling him close. Our kiss slower this time. Exploratory, a mapping of territories we'd only glimpsed before. His body against mine was revelation, strong yet yielding. Hands exploring with reverence. Not conquest. We made love on the couch. The city symphony outside fading to whispers. Every touch a vow. Afterward, tangled in sheets and each other, I traced the freckles across his nose, whispering, "You exposed me, Alex, and it saved me." He chuckled, low and warm, nuzzling my neck. "Good, because I'm not done yet. There's more to uncover." But shadows lingered. My family visit loomed, a Thanksgiving trip back to Philly. The first since I'd gone radio silent on Dad's homophobic jabs. Alex sensed the storm brewing. My nightmares of rejection surfacing in sweat-soaked sheets. "Come with me," I blurted one morning over burnt toast. Heart pounding. "Meet them. Show me how to stand." His hesitation was brief, eyes searching mine before softening. "Only if you're ready." "But yeah, Sean, I'm in." The drive was torture. Highways blurring past under gray November skies. Alex's hand on my thigh, a grounding force. Mom hugged us at the door. Her smile tight, but genuine. Dad's handshake for Alex firm. Appraising. Dinner was a minefield, small talk veering into politics. Dad's offhand slur about those parades landing like a bomb. I froze. Fork midway to mouth. The old panic rising. Alex's foot nudged mine under the table. A silent cue. Then, calm as a lake, he spoke, "Mr. Harlan, Sean's told me about growing up here. Sounds tough, but he's brave as hell, building a life in the city. Chasing dreams. Makes me proud to know him." Dad blinked, caught off guard, and for the first time, I saw a flicker, not acceptance, but curiosity. "Brave. Huh?" He grunted, glancing at me. "Well, city's full of dreamers." It wasn't a miracle, but it was a crack light through concrete. Later, in the guest room, I collapsed against Alex, tears hot on his shoulder. "You did that. For me." "We did," he corrected, kissing my temple. "Partners. Remember?" Thanksgiving marked a turning point. The air lighter on the drive back to Brooklyn. Campus buzzed with holiday aftermath. But our world shrank to us, stolen kisses in the library stacks. Late-night jam sessions where I'd strum guitar and he'd harmonize. Voices blending like souls. Yet drama shadowed whispers from the ex's circle. A nasty anonymous post on the university's queer forum. "Beware the reformed player, same snake." New skin. It hit hard. Doubt creeping in like fog. Was I redeemable? Or just a leopard in denial? The breaking point came mid-December. Snow blanketing the city in hush. Tyler, still healing, organized a queer support mixer at a cozy bar in Chelsea's way of reclaiming power. I went. Alex at my side. Nerves jangling like loose change. The room was a tapestry of faces, Mark nursing a beer. Ice cold. Jake. Laughing with friends, but glancing my way with guarded hope. Tyler pulled me aside early. Voice steady. I invited you because I believe in second chances. But screw up again. And you're out. The night unfolded in awkward small talk. A round of shots that loosened tongues. Then Ryan stormed in. Face twisted. Bottle in hand. Heard you're playing house now. He sneered. Zeroing on me. Think a pretty boy like that fixes you. You're poison. Sean. The bar tensed. Eyes on us. And I felt the old reflex. Deflect. Flirt. Flee. But Alex stepped forward. Hand on my arm. Voice even. Ryan. He's owning his shit. More than most. If you can't see that. Walk. Ryan laughed. Bitter. But something in Alex's gaze unyielding compassion made him falter. He left without a punch. The doors slamming like punctuation. In the aftermath. Huddled in a booth. The group circled, stories shared. Hurts aired. Laughter bubbling through tears. Jake clapped my shoulder. Takes guts. Man. For the first time. I felt it community. Not conquest. As we walked home through snow-dusted streets. Alex's arm around me. I realized, love wasn't a cage. It was wings. Christmas Eve. Our apartment aglow with a scavenged tree and strings of lights. We exchanged gifts, his a leather-bound journal for my lyrics. Mine a custom sketchpad etched with unexposed hearts. Curled by the fire escape window. Watching flakes dance. I turned to him. You changed everything. Exposed the lie. Showed me truth. He smiled. That heart-melting curve. And you. You made me believe in redemption. In us. Our kiss deepened. Promises sealed in warmth. As the city slept under winter's blanket. The player was gone. In his place. A man ready to love fiercely. Fully. Forever. Spring bloomed late that year. Cherry blossoms unfurling along the East River like hesitant confessions. Mirroring the slow, sweet unraveling of our lives intertwined. At 23 now. Post-graduation haze settling over NYU's ivy-clad halls. I traded bar crawls for open mics at the bitter end. My voice once silenced by Furno carrying lyrics born from scars and stars. Alex's illustrations graced indie zines. His bisexual pride flag pinned a quiet badge on his messenger bag, drawing eyes and stories from strangers who saw in him the courage they craved. But peace is fragile, especially when roots run deep and tangled. My sister's wedding Lumita Junifer in Philly. All white lace and family expectations. Dad's invitation laced with unspoken truce. Bring the boyfriend. He'd grunted over the phone. The word awkward but earnest. A olive branch extended after months of tentative calls. Alex agreed. His hand steady in mine as we packed the old Honda. But I saw the flicker his own family ghosts. The California parents who'd embraced his queerness with open arms but whispered doubts about settling down so young. The rehearsal dinner was a powder keg, aunts cooing over centerpieces. Cousins shooting sidelong glances at our linked hands. Dad pulled me aside in the garden. Twilight painting the roses in bruised purples. He's good for you, son, he said. Voice gruff. Eyes averted. Steady. Makes you better. It was the closest to I love you I'd heard. And it cracked something opina flood of forgiveness I hadn't known I needed. Mom teared up later, hugging Alex like a son, whispering, thank you for seeing him. The ceremony was magic, vows exchanged under a floral arch. My sister radiant in ivory, her groom's hand trembling as he promised eternity. As Alex and I stood witness, his fingers squeezing mine, I felt the weight of what we'd built, not perfection, but progress. That night, in a rented room at the inn, we celebrated privately, Slow dances to a crackling radio. Bodies moving in rhythm learned from trial and fire. Marry me someday, he murmured against my skin. Half joke, half prayer. Someday, I echoed, heart swelling. When the world's readier when we are. Back in Brooklyn, summer's heat wave pressed in, turning our apartment into a sauna of sweat and secrets. Alex landed a gig illustrating a queer romance graphic novel ironic. Fitting deadlines chaining him to the desk. Pencils flying across pages that echoed our story. A guarded artist exposing a wanderer's heart. I tempeed at a music label downtown, scouting talent with an ear tuned to authenticity. Turning away polished fakes that reminded me too much of old Sean. Tension simmered when an ex resurfaced, not mine, but Alex's, Jordan, the charming bi guy from his Berkeley days, breezing into town for a conference. All dimples and what-ifs. He texted Alex innocently enough, coffee. For old times, but I saw the shadow cross his face. The way he'd pocket his phone with forced casualness. Jealousy. That green-eyed beast I'd once wielded like a weapon, now gnawed at me from within. Tell me, I said that night, sprawled on the fire escape. City lights twinkling like distant judgments. Fans whirred uselessly against the humidity. Our shirts discarded in the corner. He sighed, leaning against the railing, his profile sharp against the neon glow. Jordan was safe. Before I knew what real felt like. He wants to reconnect. But it's not that simple anymore. His eyes met mine. Vulnerable. You're it for me, Sean. But doubt creeps in. Am I enough? After all you've been. I pulled him down beside me. The metal warm under our skin. You're everything. The exposure. It wasn't just about my past, it was you showing me I could be worthy. We fight the doubts together. We made love under the stars, or what passed for them in the borough's haze, fierce and affirming. Bodies affirming what words sometimes fumbled. Jordan's visit peaked at a rooftop party in Dumbo. Skyline sprawling like a promise. He cornered Alex by the bar. Charm on full blast. Missed thesis against the world. I watched from afar. Heart hammering. Until Alex laughed light. Dismissive and walked away. Straight to me. Dance? He asked. Hand extended. And we swayed to indie beats. Jordan fading into irrelevance. Fall brought change. Alex's book launch at a cozy bookstore in the West Village. Shelves groaning with tomes of forbidden loves and triumphs. I emceed. Voice steady as I read an excerpt he'd dedicated to the one who fell and rose. The crowd queer elders with canes and stories. Wide-eyed students clutching Zinnis erupted in applause. But his eyes sought only mine, brimming with that quiet fire. Yet kismet twists, a call from Tyler. Now thriving as a junior. Voice urgent. Sean's ex Ryan. He's spiraling. Lost his job. Crashing with randos. Mentioned you guys. Thinks you're the reason he's alone. Guilt surged. Old wounds reopening. Ryan had been my mirror wild. Wounded and I'd left him shattered. We found him at a dive in Hell's Kitchen. Hollow-cheeked and hollow-eyed. Nursing a whiskey neat. You win. He slurred as we slid into the booth. Alex's presence a buffer. Domestic bliss looks good on you. It's not winning, I said. Voice raw. It's healing. And you deserve that too. We talked towers bleeding into Don Ryan's walls crumbling under shared scars, absent dads. First loves lost to AIDS in the 90s echoes. Alex mediated. His empathy a bridge. Suggesting NA meetings. A therapist who'd helped him. By sunrise, Ryan hugged us goodbye. Tentative hope in his grip. Thanks for not ghosting this time. Winter circled back. Holidays laced with new traditions. Our tree adorned with ornaments from thrift shops and travels. A menorah beside the nativity mom's interfaith chaos we'd laugh about over eggnog. But the real gift was growth. My first song released on an indie playlist. Alex's panels at queer cons drawing fans who saw themselves in our veiled tale. One snowy night. Post-New Year's. Bundled on the stoop. Champagne flutes clinking. Alex turned to me. Remember that envelope? The exposure. I nodded. Breath fogging the air. It was the start. But this you and might's the story. I kissed him. Snowflakes melting on our lashes. And it's ours. End of the player. Beginning of us. As spring thawed into summer once more. Our lives wove tighter, a lease renewed. Dreams deferred, but not denied. I proposed on the high line. Ring simple silver. Knees in gravel, be my forever. Alex. Exposed and all. He said yes. Tears freezing in the breeze. And in that moment, under the relentless sky, I knew love wasn't a fall, it was flight. Wings earned through fire, carrying us home. The years blurred like film reels. Each frame a testament to the improbable, our wedding in a sun-dappled Brooklyn park. Vows exchanged amid wildflowers and witnesses who'd once been ghosts, Tyler as best man. Jake toasting with wry affection. Even Ryan. Sober and smiling from the back row. Dad walked me down the aisle. Arm linked in awkward solidarity. Mom dabbing eyes with a lace hanky. Alex. Radiant in linen. His hand in mine, a vow etched in skin. Life post-vows was no fairy tale epilogue, but a gritty, glorious novel, my album dropping to indie acclaim. Lyrics of redemption charting quiet paths. Alex's graphic series optioned for a webtoon. Heroes modeled on us, flawed. Fierce. Unapologetic. We moved to a loft in Greenpoint. Walls echoing with laughter and late-night arguments over takeout. Making up always entangled sheets. Challenges came. As they do, Alex's biopsy scary, a benign lump that shook us, to foundations teaching trust in vulnerability. My relapse temptation during a tour. A flirty fan's number deleted under his steady gaze. But each trial forged us stronger. Humanism in the hurt, volunteering at the center where Tyler now counseled. Mentoring kids like young Sean. Wide-eyed and walled. On our 5th anniversary. Back in that first apartment sublet for nostalgia, uncorked wine on the fire escape. City Pulsar soundtrack. You exposed me, I said, tracing his ring. And I fell hard. True. He leaned in. Breath warm. Good. Because falling's the best part. And so we fell. Daily into love's vast. Verdant unknown. Players no more. But partners eternal. Hearts laid bare under American skies.